Her best friend snapped during an argument. "Your girlfriend slept with another man last night, loser." I didn't believe it until she said, "Want to see the video?" When she pressed play, I said nothing. 2 days later, when I played that same video at a family gathering, my girlfriend's begging couldn't stop the silence that followed. I never liked my girlfriend's best friend. I know that's a cliché, but in this case, it was true. My girlfriend, Emily, is or was bubbly and kind. Her best friend, Jessica, is the opposite. She's one of those people who seems to thrive on drama and negativity, and for the 2 years Emily and I were together, Jessica always looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off the bottom of her shoe. I just figured it was one of those things I had to put up with. This past Thursday, I came home to a full-blown screaming match happening in my living room. I live in a townhouse, and I could hear it from the driveway. I walked in, and there they were, standing on opposite sides of the room, yelling at each other. It wasn't the first time they'd had a major fight, but this one felt different. It was uglier. Emily was crying. "I can't believe you would say that to me, after everything." Jessica just laughed, a nasty, sharp sound. "Oh, save the tears. You're not a victim here." She saw me standing in the doorway, and a slow, malicious grin spread across her face. She looked past Emily and straight at me. "You know what?" Jessica said, her voice dripping with venom. "I'm done covering for you. He deserves to know what a snake you are." Emily's face went pale. "Jessica, don't you dare." But Jessica just kept looking at me. She pointed a finger at Emily. "Your perfect girlfriend slept with another man last night, loser." The word just hung in the air. It felt like a physical blow. I looked at Emily. She was shaking her head, tears streaming down her face, but she wasn't meeting my eyes. "She's lying," Emily whispered. "She's just trying to hurt me." I wanted to believe her. I really did. In that split second, my brain was scrambling for a reason to dismiss it. Jessica was a known troublemaker. This was probably just her going for the nuclear option in a stupid fight. I opened my mouth to tell Jessica to get out of my house, but then Jessica pulled out her phone. "Oh, am I lying?" she said, her voice full of fake sweetness. "Want to see the video?" My world stopped. A video? That wasn't just an accusation. That was evidence. Emily let out a choked sob. "Jess, please don't." Jessica ignored her. She walked right up to me, her eyes locked on mine, and held out her phone. I didn't want to look. Every part of me was screaming to just turn around and walk away. But I had to know. I took the phone from her hand. She had already queued up the video. I pressed play. It was shaky, like it was filmed by someone trying to be sneaky. It was dark, but I could clearly see the back of a man's head and Emily's face. They were in a car, and they were kissing. It wasn't a friendly peck. It was passionate, intense, and went on for about 30 seconds. Then the video ended. I felt nothing. It was the strangest feeling. The hurt was there, somewhere deep down, but it was like my brain just shut off all the emotions to deal with the facts. The fact was, the woman I loved, the woman I was planning to propose to in a few months, had cheated on me. The other fact was, her best friend had just given me the proof. I handed the phone back to Jessica. I didn't say a word. I just looked at Emily. Her face was a mess of tears and panic. "It was a mistake," she sobbed. "It meant nothing. Please, you have to believe me." I didn't believe her. The kiss in that video didn't look like a mistake. It looked like a choice. Jessica was watching me, probably expecting me to explode, to start yelling. I did the opposite. I felt a weird calm settle over me. I looked at Jessica and said in a perfectly normal voice, "Send me that." Jessica's smug smile faltered. She looked confused. Emily stopped crying for a second, her mouth hanging open. "What?" Emily asked. "Send me the video," I repeated, looking at Jessica. "Now." She fumbled with her phone for a second, then I heard my phone buzz with a new message. I checked. The video was there. I saved it to my phone and then to my cloud storage. I looked up. "Jessica," I said, "get out of my house." She left without another word, a flicker of fear in her eyes. I think she finally realized she'd unleashed something she couldn't control. Then I turned to Emily. She was wringing her hands, starting up with the excuses again. "It was just a stupid, drunken mistake. He's just a guy from work. It will never happen again, I swear. We can get through this." I just held up a hand. "Stop." She stopped talking. "We'll talk about this later," I said, voice completely flat. "Right now, I need to think." I walked past her, went upstairs to our bedroom, and closed the door. She thought I needed to process my feelings. She thought we were going to have a long, tearful conversation, and that she could somehow manage this, fix it. She had no idea. I wasn't thinking about our relationship. I was thinking about logistics. Because in my mind, our relationship was already over. The only thing left to decide was how to end it. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that it wasn't going to be a quiet, private breakup. She hadn't just cheated. She had disrespected me, our relationship, and our future. An act like that didn't deserve a quiet exit. It deserved an audience. And I knew exactly when and where. This Saturday, her parents were hosting a big family barbecue. It was supposed to be a celebration of my recent promotion at work. Both our families were going to be there, all our friends. It was supposed to be a happy day. Now it was going to be something else entirely. It was going to be the day everyone saw her for who she really was. I had 48 hours to get everything in place. Update 1. It's now Saturday morning. The barbecue is in a few hours. The last 2 days have been the strangest of my life. I've been living in the same house as Emily, acting like everything is mostly normal, while secretly dismantling our entire life together. It's been like living in a spy movie, except the only thing I'm trying to steal is my own future. After I went upstairs on Thursday night, Emily just left me alone. I think she was scared of what I would do if she pushed me. She probably thought giving me space was the smart move. She was wrong. The space just gave me time to plan. The first thing I did was call my best friend Dave. I told him everything. He was furious on my behalf, but he understood why I wasn't just kicking her out right away. "You're gonna burn it all down, aren't you?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I am." He just said, "Good. Let me know what you need." The next morning, Friday, was a busy day. I woke up at my usual time. Emily was already awake, sitting in the kitchen, looking like she hadn't slept. She tried to start a conversation. "Can we please talk about this?" I just shook my head. "Not yet. I'm still processing. But listen, we can't let this ruin the barbecue tomorrow. Your parents have worked hard on it. Let's just pretend for the next 48 hours. For them, we can deal with us on Sunday." Relief washed over her face. She saw it as a reprieve. A chance to win me back. She eagerly agreed. "Okay, yes, we can do that." That was the green light I needed. With the truce in place, I had the freedom to operate. I took the day off work, telling her I needed a mental health day to clear my head. She bought it completely. The second she left for work, my plan kicked into high gear. First, finances. We had a joint savings account with about $10,000 in it, money we were saving for a big vacation. I went to the bank as soon as it opened. I explained to the manager that I wanted to close the account and split the funds. Since it was a joint account, they needed her signature, but I found a loophole. I could withdraw my half, which was everything I had personally deposited, leaving only her contributions. I had all the deposit records. I drained my $5,000 and put it into a new personal account. I left her $5,000 in there and then closed the account on my end. She wouldn't get a notification until her monthly statement. Next, the house. The house is mine. I bought it before I met her, but she had been living here for a year. All her stuff was here. So I started packing. I went to a hardware store and bought 20 heavy-duty boxes and a roll of packing tape. I was systematic. I started in the bedroom. All her clothes, shoes, makeup, every single thing. I packed it neatly. I didn't throw things around. I wanted her to receive everything in perfect condition. This wasn't about destroying her property. It was about removing her from my life. I moved on to the living room, the bathroom, the kitchen. All the little things she had brought into my home that made it ours. The throw pillows she loved, the painting she bought, her collection of mugs. Everything went into a box. By 3 p.m., I had 15 boxes neatly stacked in the garage. My house looked like my house again. It was stark, but it was mine. Then I dealt with the practicalities. I took her name off my Netflix and Amazon Prime accounts. I changed the password on the home Wi-Fi. I went into her car, which was parked in my driveway, and I took the garage door opener out of it. She had a key to the front door, but that would be easy enough to change. The hardest part was the photos. We had pictures of us all over the house. I took every single one down. I put them all in a box. The good memories now, just evidence of a lie. That was the only time I felt a real pang of hurt. But I just pushed it down. There was no time for that. The last piece of the puzzle was the video. I needed to make sure everyone could see it clearly. My TV in the living room has a USB port. I transferred the video file from my phone to a blank USB stick. I tested it. The video played perfectly, sound and all. I put the USB stick in my pocket. When Emily got home from work that evening, the house was spotless. There were no boxes in sight. The pictures were gone, but the walls were big enough that she didn't seem to notice right away. She was just happy that I was being civil. She suggested we watch a movie. I agreed. We sat on the couch, a foot of space between us, and watched a comedy. It was the most surreal experience of my life. She was laughing, occasionally looking over at me, probably thinking things were going to be okay. I just stared at the screen, my heart pounding in my chest, the USB stick in my pocket, feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She has no idea what's coming. She thinks she has the whole weekend to work on me, to fix what she broke. She thinks today is a party to celebrate me. She's wrong. Today is her judgment day, and I'm going to make sure everyone she cares about is there to see it. Update 2. The barbecue was yesterday. I'm sitting here now in my quiet, empty house, and it's finally over. It went down almost exactly as I planned. It was brutal, it was ugly, and it was absolutely necessary. We drove to her parents' house together. The car ride was tense. She kept trying to make small talk, and I just gave one-word answers. She looked beautiful. She had really put in an effort, probably thinking it would help her cause. It just made me feel sick. When we arrived, the party was in full swing. About 30 people were there. Her parents, her grandparents, her aunts, uncles, cousins. My parents were there too, along with my sister and her husband. All our mutual friends. It was a big, happy family event. Her dad, Tom, came up and gave me a big hug. "So proud of you, son. This promotion is a big deal." I just smiled and thanked him. For 2 hours, I played the part. I mingled. I accepted congratulations. I let Emily put her arm around my waist for pictures. Every touch felt like a spider crawling on my skin. She was a great actress, laughing and smiling, playing the role of the proud, supportive girlfriend. A few times I saw her looking at me with those big, hopeful eyes, and I just gave her a small, non-committal smile. She was getting more and more confident that she had dodged the bullet. The moment came around 4 p.m. Tom gathered everyone on the back patio. He had a glass of champagne in his hand. "All right, everyone, I'd like to propose a toast to my future son-in-law," he said, beaming at me. Everyone cheered. He gave a nice little speech about how happy he was to have me in the family and how proud he was of my success. Then he handed the floor to me. "Your turn," he said with a grin. This was it. My heart was hammering, but my hands were steady. I walked to the center of the patio. Emily came and stood next to me, sliding her hand into mine. I let her. "Thank you, Tom," I started, my voice clear and even. "And thanks to everyone for coming. It really means a lot to have all our family and friends here today. It's true, I did get a great promotion, but today I've realized something more important. I've learned about the value of honesty and trust in a relationship." Emily squeezed my hand, smiling up at me. She thought this was for her. "And in the spirit of honesty," I continued, pulling my hand away from and taking the small USB stick out of my pocket, "I have something I want to share with all of you. It's a short video. I think it really captures a special moment." Her smile faded. A flicker of confusion, then panic, appeared in her eyes. Her dad had a big screen TV set up on the patio to watch a game later. I walked over to it. "Tom, do you mind if I borrow this for a second?" "Not at all," he said, still clueless. I plugged the USB stick into the side of the TV. I used the remote to navigate to the file. Emily was frozen in place, her face getting paler by the second. "What are you doing?" she whispered, her voice shaking. I didn't answer. I just pressed play. The shaky, dark video filled the 50-inch screen. The audio was crystal clear in the suddenly silent backyard. Everyone saw it. They saw her face. They saw her kissing the other man in that car. It was undeniable. It played for the full 30 seconds. 30 seconds of absolute, soul-crushing silence from the crowd, broken only by the sounds from the video. When it ended, the screen went black. I turned around to face the party. Every single person was staring at me, their faces a mixture of shock, confusion, and horror. I looked at Emily. She looked like she had been turned to stone. Then I looked at her parents. Her mom, Karen, had her hands over her mouth. Her dad just looked broken. My own parents were looking at me with a mixture of anger and understanding. Emily finally moved. She rushed towards me. "No," she started crying. "Please don't. We can talk about this." I took a step back, holding up a hand. I spoke to the crowd, my voice cold and hard. "As you can see, the celebration is over. Emily and I are finished. She cheated on me 2 nights ago. That was her best friend, Jessica, who was kind enough to film it for us." A wave of gasps went through the crowd. "For those of you who are wondering," I continued, my voice getting louder, "all of her belongings are packed in boxes in my garage. She can arrange to have her father pick them up tomorrow. She will not be returning to my house." Emily was full-on sobbing now, begging, "Please, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. Don't do this to me in front of everyone." "You did this to yourself," I said, looking right at her. "You did this when you got in that car. This isn't a punishment. This is just everyone seeing the truth you were trying to hide." I turned to her parents. "Tom, Karen, I'm sorry you had to see that, but you deserve to know the kind of person your daughter really is." Then I walked away. I walked through the stunned crowd, got in my car, and drove home. I didn't look back. Final update. It's been 4 months. The dust has settled, but the crater is still there. My life is completely different now, and honestly, it's so much better. The aftermath of what I'm now calling the barbecue was exactly as chaotic as you'd expect. My phone started blowing up before I was even halfway home. Emily, her parents, her friends, a flood of texts and calls. I didn't answer a single one. I got home, walked into my wonderfully empty house, and I turned my phone off. I left it off for 2 full days. When I finally turned it back on, I had over 100 missed calls and countless texts. Most were from Emily, alternating between furious rage, "You ruined my life," "I will destroy you," and pathetic begging, "I'll do anything, please just talk to me. I made the worst mistake of my life." There were messages from her mom saying I was a cruel monster. There were messages from her friends telling me I was a psycho for what I did. I deleted them all without responding, and then I started blocking numbers. I blocked every single member of her family, and anyone I knew was exclusively her friend. My own family and friends, however, were incredible. My dad called and just said, "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. It was hard to watch, but you did the right thing." My friends rallied around me, making sure I wasn't alone unless I wanted to be. The smear campaign started about a week later. Emily, realizing she couldn't get to me directly, took to social media. She wrote a long, vague post about being in an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship and how a moment of weakness was used to publicly humiliate and isolate her. She never mentioned me by name, but everyone knew who she was talking about. Some of her friends ate it up, leaving comments about how strong she was and how evil I was. For a few days, I was getting angry messages from strangers who had seen her post. I was tempted to respond, to post the video publicly. But my lawyer, who I had consulted the day after the barbecue, strongly advised against it. He said it could be seen as revenge porn, even though it wasn't explicit. So I took a different approach. I picked 5 key people who were in both our lives. 2 mutual friends who were on the fence, one of Emily's cousins who had always been decent to me, my sister, and Emily's dad. I sent them all a single private message. It said, "I know you are hearing a story about me being abusive. I'm not going to fight this publicly. I am only going to send you this so you have the actual facts. This is the video that was shown at the party. Make your own judgment." And I attached the video file. It worked better than I ever could have imagined. Her dad, Tom, called me an hour later. He sounded exhausted. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," he said, "for everything. She's been lying to us too. What you did was harsh, but I think I understand why you did it." The word spread like wildfire through the people that mattered. The truth came out. Emily's victim narrative collapsed. She ended up deleting her post after a few days when people started questioning her story in the comments. As for the other people in this drama, Jessica, the best friend, got exactly what she deserved. Emily, of course, turned on her with a vengeance. I heard from a friend that they had a legendary public screaming match at a local restaurant. Emily accused Jessica of ruining her life, and Jessica screamed back that Emily was a cheating snake who deserved it. Their friendship is obviously over, forever. Jessica, in trying to hurt Emily, ended up becoming a pariah in their social circle too. No one trusts her anymore. And the guy in the video? The guy from her work? I did a little digging. It wasn't hard to find out who he was. A quick look at his social media showed he had a long-term girlfriend. I thought about it for a long time. Was it my place? In the end, I decided that lies like that fester. His girlfriend deserved to know who she was with. I created an anonymous email account and sent her the video with a simple message. You should see this. It was filmed last Thursday. I never heard anything back, but about 2 weeks later, his relationship status on social media changed to single, and he suddenly stopped working at the same company as Emily. Emily had to move out of my house, obviously. Her dad came with a U-Haul one Saturday while I was out. I had left all her boxes neatly labeled in the garage. He took them all without a word. I heard she moved back in with her parents. She lost her boyfriend, her home, her best friend, and her reputation in one fell swoop. The public nature of the breakup made it impossible for her to control the story. She couldn't whisper her lies to people one-on-one. Everyone saw the truth, all at once. There was no coming back from that. I changed the locks, sold the furniture she had picked out, and slowly started to feel like myself again. It took time. What I did was extreme, I know that. But her betrayal was extreme. She tried to play me for a fool, and I refused to play the part. I didn't get revenge by yelling or fighting. I got it by simply showing everyone the unedited truth. Her brother lived in my house rent-free for months, then told me, "You need to respect the rules of my sister's house." I just nodded, but when I gave them both a formal 30-day eviction notice, they learned whose house it really was. It all came to a head over a thermostat. That's the most ridiculous part. Not some grand betrayal, but the temperature of my own house. A house I bought with my own money, 5 years before I even met my girlfriend, Sarah. Her brother, Kevin, has been living with us for 4 months. The original agreement, brokered by a tearful Sarah, was that he would stay for a month, maybe 2 tops, while he got back on his feet after losing his job. In the 4 months since, the only thing Kevin has gotten back on is my couch, where he has successfully fused with the cushions. His only job seems to be pioneering new methods of leaving a trail of snack food wrappers in his wake. I came home from work last night, a long 12-hour day on a construction site, to find the house cranked up to a balmy 80 degrees. It was like walking into a jungle. Kevin was sprawled on the couch in shorts playing a video game on my 75-inch television, a bead of sweat on his forehead. "Kev, what's with the heat?" I asked, trying to keep the exhaustion out of my voice. He didn't even pause his game. "Felt it chill, man," he said. I walked over to the thermostat and turned it down to a more reasonable 70. A few seconds later, the air conditioning kicked on with a grateful sigh. Kevin paused his game. He actually turned and looked at me, his face a mask of annoyance. "Dude, what are you doing?" I had it set there for a reason. "It's 80 degrees in here, Kevin. I'm not paying to air condition the entire neighborhood." And that's when he said it. The line that future historians will point to as the precise moment my relationship ended. He stood up, puffed out his chest, and with a completely straight face told me, "Look man, you're a guest here too, in a way. You need to respect the rules of my sister's house." I just stared at him. The sheer, uncut audacity of it was breathtaking. It was like a work of art. The words just hung in the air, shimmering with a kind of surreal, idiotic majesty. My house. The one my name is on the deed for, the one I pay the mortgage, the taxes, and the ridiculously high utility bills for, was now his sister's house, and I needed to respect the rules. Sarah walked in from the kitchen at that moment, holding a bowl of microwaved popcorn, clearly for Kevin. She saw the tension. "What's going on?" "Your brother just informed me that this is your house, and I need to follow his rules," I said, my voice completely flat. Sarah just rolled her eyes, but not at him, at me. "Oh my God, don't be so dramatic," she said. "He just likes it a little warmer. Don't be a baby about it." She didn't defend me. She didn't correct her freeloading brother. She sided with him. In that moment, it all clicked into place. They weren't 2 separate problems. They were a team, a parasitic entity that had attached itself to my life. They saw me not as a partner or a host, but as a resource, an inconvenient landlord who just happened to live in their house. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just looked at Kevin, then at Sarah. I nodded slowly. "You're right," I said. "My mistake." I walked past them, went upstairs to our bedroom, and closed the door. They probably thought they'd won. They probably thought I was sulking, that I'd get over it by morning. They were wrong. I wasn't angry anymore. I was an architect, and I was quietly and methodically drawing up the blueprints for their complete and total removal from my life. I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. The first thing I did was search for landlord-tenant lawyer. The second thing I did was search for the proper legal eviction process in my state for a tenant at will, which is what they had become. They thought they were making the rules. They had no idea they were about to be introduced to a much more official rulebook, and I was going to enjoy reading it to them. Update 1. It's been a week since the Great Thermostat Summit of last Tuesday. The response to my original post was overwhelming. Thanks for confirming that I'm not, in fact, the crazy one here. The day after Kevin declared my home a sovereign state ruled by his sister, I had a consultation with a lawyer. He was a sharp, no-nonsense guy who confirmed what my research had told me. Since Sarah and Kevin had lived in the house for more than 30 days and had established residency, getting mail here, etc., I couldn't just change the locks. I had to follow the formal eviction process. It was a minor inconvenience, but doing it by the book would make the final outcome legally ironclad. That was all that mattered. My lawyer drafted 2 identical, formal 30-day notices to quit. Not a friendly letter. An official legal document citing termination of tenancy with their full names and a move-out date exactly 30 days from the date of service. I chose to serve them on Friday night. I wanted their weekend to be ruined, just as they had ruined so many of mine. I came home from work and found them in their usual positions. Sarah on her laptop at the kitchen table, online shopping, and Kevin on the couch, yelling at teenagers in his video game. I didn't say a word. I just walked over to Sarah and placed the folded document on top of her laptop. Then I walked over to the couch and placed the other one on Kevin's chest. "What's this?" Sarah asked, annoyed at the interruption. "It's a legal notice," I said calmly. "You should read it." She unfolded it. Her eyes scanned the first few lines, the legal jargon, the bolded words, "notice to quit." Her face went from confused to pale to a deep, blotchy red. "What is this?" she finally whispered, her voice trembling. "You're evicting me?" Kevin had paused his game and was reading his own copy. "Dude, what the hell? You can't evict us. This is Sarah's house." The delusion was apparently terminal. "No, Kevin," I said, my voice as cold and steady as I could make it. "This is my house. The deed is in my name. The mortgage is in my name. The bills are in my name. You are both tenants at will, and your tenancy has been terminated. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. It is all perfectly legal." Sarah finally found her voice, and it was several octaves higher than usual. "You're ending our relationship over the thermostat? Are you insane? You're throwing me out over a stupid fight?" "No, Sarah," I said. "The thermostat was just a symptom. I'm ending this because you and your brother have made it clear that you see me as a walking wallet, not a partner. I'm ending this because your brother, a man who has not contributed a single dollar to this household, had the audacity to tell me to respect the rules in my own home. And I'm ending this because you stood there and defended him. This has been coming for a long time." The tears started then, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of pure, frustrated rage. She started screaming about the years she had put into our relationship, how I was a cruel, heartless monster. Kevin chimed in, blustering about his rights and how he was going to sue me. I just stood there and let them burn themselves out. When they were finally done, I said, "The notice is legal. A copy has been filed with the court. You have 30 days. I suggest you start packing." The rest of the weekend was a living hell, which is exactly what I expected. They tried everything. The silent treatment, the loud, pointed phone calls to their mother, where Sarah would sob about how I was throwing them out on the street for no reason. Their mother called me, of course, and I calmly explained the situation. She tried to guilt-trip me, but I just kept repeating, "They have 30 days. My decision is final." The house has now been divided into armed camps. They have barricaded themselves in the guest room and Sarah's old office. The atmosphere is thick with resentment. They think this is a negotiation. They think I will break. They are about to learn how wrong they are. 28 days left. Update 2. We are now 20 days into the 30-day eviction period, and the desperation tactics have escalated in ways that are almost comical. They genuinely believed I would cave. Every day that I don't, their panic grows. The first week was about psychological warfare. They would deliberately leave messes in the kitchen. They'd use every single dish and leave them in the sink. They'd blast music from the guest room at all hours. I didn't engage. I bought paper plates, put a lock on my bedroom door, and invested in a very good pair of noise-canceling headphones. Every mess they made, I photographed, dated, and saved to a file labeled evidence. When the passive aggression didn't work, Sarah switched to emotional manipulation. She would leave old photos of us around the house. She would try to start conversations about the good times. She even tried to cook me my favorite meal one night and act so out of character that I was momentarily stunned. "I was wrong," she said, her voice soft and pleading. "We can fix this. Just tear up those papers. Let Kevin stay a little longer until he finds a job. We can go back to how things were." "The person you were with is gone, Sarah," I told her, not touching the food. "You and your brother killed him. You have 22 days left." The biggest shift happened when they realized the financial reality of their situation. I had, of course, immediately separated all our finances. The joint account was closed. Her supplementary credit card was canceled. I changed all the passwords to the streaming services, the Amazon account, everything. The gravy train had not only left the station, it had been decommissioned and sold for scrap. Sarah's part-time job as a social media consultant brings in just enough to cover her car payment and her online shopping addiction. It's not nearly enough to afford a 2-bedroom apartment for her and her deadbeat brother. Kevin, it turns out, has not applied for a single job in the 4 months he's lived here. His plan to get back on his feet apparently involved my feet and my wallet. Last week, they tried a more direct approach. I came home to find Sarah, Kevin, and their parents sitting in my living room. An ambush. "Michael," her father began, trying to sound reasonable, "we think this has gone far enough. You've made your point. Sarah is sorry. Now, let's be adults and tear up this silly eviction notice." "There's nothing silly about it," I said. "It's a legal document, and it's not up for discussion." "You are putting my son out on the street," her mother cried. "Your son is a 30-year-old man who has been living off me for 4 months, I replied. "He is your responsibility, not mine. As of 12 days from now, he will be your problem to solve." The conversation devolved from there. They accused me of being cruel, of betraying Sarah. They just couldn't grasp the core concept. Their children's comfort was not my legal or moral obligation. They had overplayed their hand so badly that they had lost the entire game. As they were leaving, defeated, her father pulled me aside. "You'll regret this," he hissed. "The only thing I regret," I said, looking him dead in the eye, "is not doing this 3 months ago." They are now in a state of frantic activity. They are finally looking for apartments and discovering that their budget gets them a shoebox in a bad part of town. The reality of what they have lost, a beautiful free home, is crashing down on them. 10 days left. I've already started stocking up on packing tape and boxes. Not for them, for me. I plan on having this entire house professionally deep cleaned and purified the moment they are gone. Final update. The 30-day countdown has concluded and the freeloaders have been launched. I'm writing this from my blessedly quiet, clean, and empty house. The sense of peace is indescribable. The last 10 days were a blur of pathetic bargaining and frantic packing. They finally realized I was not bluffing. The closer the deadline got, the more their entitled rage was replaced by a kind of pathetic, whimpering fear. They couldn't find an apartment they deemed suitable on their budget, which was a shock to them. Apparently, most landlords expect tenants to have a steady income and a decent credit score, 2 things they lacked as a team. On the final day, I took no chances. As my lawyer had advised, I had a sheriff's deputy scheduled to arrive at noon, the exact moment the eviction became legally enforceable. to supervise their removal and prevent any last-minute drama or destruction of property. They were still frantically throwing things into trash bags when the deputy knocked on the door. The sight of a uniformed officer on the porch seemed to finally crush their last bit of resistance. The fight was completely gone from their eyes. Watching them haul their cheap furniture and bags of clothes out of my house was a surreal experience. Every box they carried out felt like a physical weight being lifted from my own shoulders. Their parents arrived in a rented U-Haul, their faces grim and angry. They wouldn't even look at me. They just helped their defeated children load up their lives. The final, most satisfying moment came as Kevin was carrying out the last box. He stopped on the porch, looked back at me, and with a spiteful sneer, said, "You're going to be lonely in this big house all by yourself." The deputy, a big guy with a deadpan expression, just raised an eyebrow. "Son," he said, his voice dripping with boredom, "I think he'll manage." Kevin's face turned bright red, and he scurried away. It was a perfect, understated end to his reign of terror. The aftermath has been exactly what they deserved. They moved back in with their parents. From what I've heard through a mutual friend, it's a complete disaster. Their parents' small, quiet suburban home has been turned into a war zone. Kevin and Sarah, accustomed to living in my spacious house with no rules, are chafing under their parents' roof. They are reportedly still unemployed, still entitled, and now they are their parents' problem. About a month after they left, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was their mother. It wasn't an angry tirade. It was one simple sentence: "I think I understand now." I didn't reply. My revenge wasn't loud or explosive. It was quiet, legal, and absolute. I didn't just kick them out. I forced them to confront the consequences of their own entitlement. They thought the world, and specifically me, owed them a comfortable life. They learned that a life of comfort is something you build, not something you leech from others. They had a golden ticket, and they threw it away because they were too arrogant to be grateful. I've spent the last month reclaiming my space. I had the entire house repainted. I sold the couch Kevin had colonized and bought a new one. I can set my thermostat to whatever temperature I damn well please. The silence is the best part. No loud video games, no passive-aggressive sighs, no sense of being used. They tried to make my house theirs. They tried to make their rules my rules. But in the end, a piece of paper, a deed, and then an eviction notice was more powerful than all their delusion and entitlement combined. They didn't just learn whose house it was. They learned what it costs to lose a home you never deserved in the first place. And that, my friends, is a lesson you can't put a price on.